Oh, it's backwards, Lana.
I got it. I got it.
There
I
you
got
go.
it. Hello, and welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where you come here first to quench your reality thirst, and where we put the real and the tea in reality. I'm your girl Lana, the resident diva, here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Her. And today I am simply drinking water because water is good hydration, all of that stuff. But if I was drinking my piping hot tea, I would be drinking it out of my cup mug because this is
Ooh.
this is the only place you get your tea, and this is where you got it. So I'm excited. And you can get all of your cup merch at Lana G's Creations Etsy.com. Description will be below. And yeah.
And I am David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. In fact, I have a gorgeous shirt because I am wearing the one and only Courtney Act, Australian drag superstar, even though she competed in the United States. But I love this shirt. It's so big. It's got her face all over it. And yeah, it's one of my favorites. And I am also drinking water. But if I was drinking something else, I might also use the cup mug because I just got mine in the mail today. Yes, now we're matching.
We are matching. We love that. We love to see when all of our our cup panelists start getting their mugs one by one by one. I love it. We love to see it. So now, if you see we have it, you got to go get it. All of our listeners, you have to have a cup mug. So, but today we are here talking about España, Drag Race España, episode 8. And there was a lot going on in this episode. There's some things I'm like, okay, all right.
For sure. It was definitely an interesting episode. I'm a little rusty on it because it's been a few days, but I'm going to do my best to let it all come back, percolate in my mind. So we'll see how that goes.
That is why I waited for today to watch it so it could stay in my head because I
that
got
was
a
very
lot
smart.
going on. And yeah. But we come back to the workroom after the double elimination of Pinchadora and Paquita. And everybody's like, oh, it's so sad. It's very sad. And
it is sad. And I'm with them, especially on Paquita. It was very sad to see her go. I feel like she never quite got the credit she deserved this season. And there's definitely people still around that don't deserve it over her. So that's the tea.
That is the tea. And I would agree with that tea, honestly. But, I mean, we aren't the judges. We don't get to choose who get to stay and who go because if we did, it would definitely be a whole different lineup standing before us.
The wins would be so different as well.
For sure. Because I don't think we've agreed too tough with the judges all the time in this season.
True.
I would even go as far as saying most of the time this season we did not agree with the judges.
Yeah, this is an interesting season though where sometimes I don't agree with the person who wins, but I'm still not mad about it because it's somebody I like a lot.
Right, exactly. So after they clean off the mirrors and take off all the makeup, the next day happens. There's really nothing much that happened right in that moment. But the next day happens, they come in and they talk about how sad still. But it's quieter in the workroom, they say, without Pinchadora there. Which I was like, yeah, a little shady, but I got it because we all saw Pinchadora talked a lot.
She did.
But in a beautiful way. I grew very fond of Pinchadora as the competition went on. Because I knew from the first day she walked into the workroom, I was like, oh, this one is going to talk a lot. this one is going to do a lot of talking, and I got used to it, and I enjoyed her. But
Yeah,
it was definitely.
I kind of had an opposite journey with Pink Chidora. I was very hyped about her preseason, um, but I don't think she quite lived up to my expectations. And sometimes she kind of had an attitude, specifically pointed towards Pitita, whom I love. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I do think she's talented, and I would love to see what she could do on an all-star season. So
Mm,
we'll see if that ever happens.
we'll
Wink,
see.
wink.
We'll
We don't
see.
know.
But so after the host comes in this very black and white suit, looking stunning, sure, and he announces the mini challenge, which is a blindfold makeup challenge.
So this is a challenge that they've done a few times in the different franchises of Drag Race, and it's always interesting to see. It's often people doing themselves in the dark or blindfolded, but we have had a few occasions where somebody is doing their partner doing their makeup blindfolded. But there's always a decision of like, am I going to actually try to make this look good? Or am I just going to go crazy, make it look a mess, and hope that I'm getting some humor points? And I
Right.
think we saw a little bit of both here.
I agree. I agree. This was actually one done in pairs. And I do think some people were going for the humor of it, but then some people were just like, "I'm just gonna put it on and still see what we can come up with the best that we can in being blindfolded." So the teams ended up being Bestiah and Clover, uh, Pitita and Hornella. What was
Was
it?
it?
Oh, what was it, Vania?
I was
I
thinking
think
it
it
was
was
Vanya, but
Vanya.
I
I
can't
think it's Vanya.
remember.
I think it's Vanya. It was Vanya. It was Vanya. It was Vanya. Okay.
Hmm.
Like I got a lot going on. It was Vanya, and then Hornella and Kelly, because they kept ending up getting
Yep,
together.
they are always together.
They're always a pair. So yes, Hornella and Kelly, Vanya and Pitita, and Clover and Bestia. So those were the pairs.
Hmm.
And like it was a fun challenge. It was a fun little challenge. It wasn't nothing like I enjoyed watching them put it on the makeup blindfolded, and it was cute. It was
Yeah.
cute.
Kelly looked rough though, especially like it looked okay at first, and
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden it's like, let's put all this dark makeup all around your eyes and your cheeks,
And
and
your cheeks.
it just became like, I don't know. It looked like she had been punched in the face a few too many times.
It was definitely a mess.
And then they were putting lipstick directly on
On the
Petita's
teeth.
teeth.
Yeah. And it was like I think Petita even opened her mouth to make sure she got more
Right.
lipstick on her teeth. It was just like interesting. But throughout it all, the winners of the mini challenge was Bestia and Clover Bish.
And they deserved it, I thought.
I
They
do
were
too.
definitely the best.
I think they were the best. They were the most put together. It was fun.
It was. They were still a mess, but
It was a mess, but it was a better mess than the other messes.
Do you like this challenge?
It was okay. It was
Okay.
fine. It was fine for what it was. It wasn't anything too crazy, and it wasn't too long. It was just fine. It was a fun challenge. I like fun challenges.
Yeah.
And it was just a fun challenge. Nothing to take too seriously. Nothing to be too stressed out about. Just a time to just let loose and relax and have fun.
Right. And low stakes, and they still got $500 worth of cosmetics,
Right.
cosmetic products out of it. So,
And makeup is expensive, so that's great for them.
hmm
Um, so then they got told that the Maxi Challenge was they were doing 1, 2, 3 drag, which is apparently a show in Spain that
yeah, I
is
think
like
it's called Un Dos Tres, but they made this Un Dos Drags. So,
yeah. I don't know how to pronounce all of that, so I was just going to speak English, David.
no
One,
shame in that.
3 drag. I am never has said I am proficient in my Spanish, so I can only speak English. That is the only language I know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 1, 2, 3. But it's like a game show. It's, I thought it was more like a newlywed game type of show at first, but then I was
Yeah.
like, is it a trivia partner show? I don't know. It wasn't like it was just a variety kind of show, a different,
Right.
stuff happening and things were going on. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I was like, if this was an actual show that they had, I would have watched that back, and I would have watched that. And
Mm-hmm.
Clover mentioned that was a show that her parents used to watch, and I was like, okay, seems like a fun show to watch, a game show ish type of show. And so it was just them. They partnered up, and so they had to partner up again, and everybody just partnered up with the people standing. Well, no, they picked glasses.
Yeah, they drew those out of bags.
They drew glasses out of bags, and so the partnership ended up being Kelly and Hornella
Again.
again, Bestiah and
Vanya.
Vania, and then Clover and Pitita.
Well, I wonder which team we were rooting for.
I mean, it was no look. This show, I have not been biased. We have not been biased, unbiased about our opinion of who we liked and who we were rooting for. And when I saw that Clover and Pitita got together, I was like, "That's the team I want to win this. That's the team I'm rooting for because I love Clover. I love Pitita. That's who I'm rooting for."
Yeah.
So,
And we may be biased, but they earned that bias for us. Like,
yes.
honestly, they were not those were two people I wasn't super high on, like very early in the season. In fact, I remember like saying Petita was one of the two forgettable people preseason.
Oh.
And Clover, I thought she was struggling early on, but they both really won me over. So I think they deserve our bias at this point.
I mean, Clover was my preseason pick, like from the
Okay.
beginning. I was like, I like her. I wanted to root for her. Petita, I think Petita and Paquita were like neck and neck for me. I was like, they're going to be the weird, quirky type,
Mm-hmm.
but they're going to surprise me in the greatest way possible, I hope. And they did, which I
Mm-hmm.
loved. And so Clover, Petita, and Paquita were like my ones preseason. So I'm very happy that they were still my ones even now. And so, yeah, I enjoyed. I was very happy to see Clover and Petita get together.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Clover needed that confidence boost of being with someone who has won several times before and felt comfortable. And after last week's challenge, I think Clover's starting to feel more comfortable doing comedy, and Petita also needed that confidence from last week from being that flop to come back and do something amazing in this challenge. And so I was excited to see them together.
Agreed.
And yeah.
And can we just remember last week when we did our recap, we talked about this challenge coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they're not here, but I got to shade Logan a little bit because Logan
Uh-oh.
was like, I don't know if this will be a good challenge for Clover.
Yes.
Mm-mm-mm. Okay,
Mm.
we'll see about that. We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll talk about it. But
Sorry,
yeah.
Logan.
Logan is not feeling well again, by the way. Shout out to
Mm,
Logan. Hope you feel better and enjoy your vacation. Period.
exactly. But yeah,
But
what was interesting about this is that it wasn't just improv. They had to create their own characters as a team.
mhm.
Um, and I think we got some pretty interesting characters out of this. I don't think they all worked, but there were some surprises.
It
So,
was. It was. I think I like the characters that they developed. I will say
mhm.
that for each team, I liked their characters that they all picked, and I thought that it was good for them. Now, did it translate once they got there? Some. For some, yes. For some, maybe not so much. But overall, I thought everybody did pretty well in this challenge. I don't think anybody did
Right.
horribly wrong, but I just think that some of the things that they were trying to do didn't go over as well. But I don't
True.
think it was horribly bad because, like, usually in these challenges, in some, especially some of the comedy and action challenges, I get very bored very easily. That's the Gemini in me. I get very bored very easily, very fast. And so with some of the challenges this season, I was just like, oh, I wanted to skip over it. This challenge, I was watching. I was very much into it. I was very much laughing along. I was very much engaged in what they were doing. And that was for everybody. So I feel like this challenge didn't bore me and it was fun. So I didn't think anybody did horribly bad. I just think some things didn't land as well as they wanted them to.
I agree. I do think that we saw kind of different philosophies on how to approach this challenge with some
Mm-hmm.
people. Some people you could tell that they were trying to play the actual games that were given to them, and that was like something that they wanted to succeed at. They
Mm-hmm.
had to name a certain number of items within a certain time frame, and so they were really going for that. While other teams, they didn't really focus necessarily on nailing the answers. They were focusing more on being a character
Right.
throughout. And I think the latter is what really paid off in the long run here.
Right.
So,
Agreed. I agree. So let's talk about these characters. So we
okay.
talked about who they are. So first team was uh, Clover and Pitita, and they chose to be a married couple, which I was like, okay. And it was a specific place. I can't remember. Please, if in the comments, if you remember where they said they were. I know it starts with a C. I just can't remember exactly what it was, where they were from. But Petita said she took a lot of her influence from this character from her own father. So she was just playing the part of her dad and how he was in this. They were a farmer couple. They lived on the farm. They lived in the countryside, and he was just a straight farmer, and she was the doting wife, and she was the one who, she took care of business, but it was kind of like because he was just I want to say dopey farmer,
He
and
was very dopey.
she
He
was the
reminded me
dopey.
of like Mario or Luigi as a farmer.
Right, like he was the dopey farmer, and she was the one who took care of business, and it was very like I think they played off each other well in this competition. I thought they were like they were a match made in heaven. Like uh, Clover could be a little bit more like that talkative and chatty, and Petita all she had to do she was playing the man, and she sat there and he sat there, and he was in this whole like I guess, yeah. It was so good. It
It
was
was.
so good.
And like initially when I saw Petita, I was like, wait a second, who is that? Is that Petita? Like I could not believe the transformation. And I said this a couple weeks ago about how she has such an extreme transformation when she goes
Mm-hmm.
into drag. But
Mm-hmm.
now we're seeing her transform into male drag, and
Yeah.
it's still like a crazy transformation. Like it's really impressive what she's able to do.
Yeah,
But
Petita is truly, we said it before, she's truly a chameleon. Like she
mm,
goes from this very extreme transformations every time she goes in drag in any shape, form, or fashion. And we saw with this one, she went into male drag, and it was still a huge transformation. She did not look like herself. I was
right.
like, this is a whole new different person sitting here. It's crazy.
Yeah,
The
but
straw out the hats and the straw in the mouth and just the beard, the 5 o'clock shot. It was so good. It was so good.
I know. I wish I could embody like what she did with that character because there's so
Oh,
much nuance, and she's just like a lot of like,
I guess I should bring up the pictures
oh, we
because
got
we do
pictures.
have them.
Oh, we
Oh,
are out of order, but we'll go ahead and skip this one. We'll come back to
we'll
them.
come back because I want to go. We're talking. Here they are. Okay.
There we go. See, that is a Mario brother. That is we got Mario, we got Luigi, and we got Alfonso, I guess.
That was so good. I forgot we had these. I was looking right in and like, oh, we do have pictures. But this
Even
was
Clover
so
looks really different.
yes, they just don't even look like themselves. That little blonde matted
Hmm.
wig, it's just so good.
Yep. And so
I enjoy them.
their challenge was that they had to name as many phallic shaped foods as they
Mhm.
could within a certain time frame. And they named a few, and then this is where I started to lose it. I was cracking up watching this because the judges said, you can give each other gestures.
Gestures.
And Petita, she just had this like befuddled look on her face. She like does this and then just starts pointing down. And it's like, oh, okay, that doesn't help with the food. That's just pointing at your dick.
It was so funny. I was like, bananas. I was up there
Right.
screaming like different things for him to say. I was like, Polish sausage, bananas, kielbasas, something.
But
Like,
then I really lost it. They named a few more and then they were stumped again. And then they were like, do gestures, do gestures. And Petita does this. It just starts jerking off her arm.
it's
And I'm
so
like,
crazy.
okay, yes, if this was a real game, your wife already knows it's phallic.
Right.
So you're not gesturing the right.
Oh, it was so
I
funny.
was cracking up. Oh my gosh,
I
it was so funny.
laughed. I thought they were hilarious. It
They
was
really were.
hilarious.
Oh, by the way, I did my one of my roommates looked up what was going on with the extra people that were there. So we had the guys that were kind of wearing like really skimpy
Hmm.
clothing.
The pit
And I
crew.
guess in the real show, they have like two different groupings of extra people that are always there. And one is supposed to be positive, trying to encourage them. And
Hmm.
the two older ladies that are sitting together, they're the
Hmm.
negative. They're
Hmm.
supposed to be kind of discouraging the teams. So I
Okay.
thought they were actually a pretty interesting element. And honestly, I think those two women would have been in the top if they were competing in this too, because they were pretty funny.
I do too. I do
Yep.
too. They were. I thought the whole setup was pretty funny. I laughed. I was
Yep.
entertained.
It's so bizarre.
It is. Let's go back to Vania and Bestia. They
Yes,
were mother and daughter.
they were. Um, they were the first team to go, and when they started naming things off, I was so confused because I had missed what the rules were, but you could tell that they were very concerned with playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I mentioned earlier, where I wish I had seen more improv and more fun from them instead of just trying to actually answer the questions as fast as they could.
Yeah. I did like their characters. I thought their
Mhm.
characters were good. I thought they did give off mother daughter vibes, and the bratty daughter with the very stiff upper conservative mother. I thought they played that part well. I just thought, like you said, they were more focused on winning the game instead of giving us entertainment and you know
Mhm.
comedy. But I
Yes.
thought they looked good.
Yeah, they look good. You definitely see the part here. Um, I'm wondering, did you find one of them to be stronger than the other?
Um, Honestly, I thought they were both the weakest pair to me.
Hmm.
I thought as a pair
That's fair. Yeah.
they were the weakest. I mean yeah, I felt like they were both equally.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought they were pretty evenly matched.
Yeah,
If you forced me to pick one that I thought was funnier, I might have picked Bestia, to be honest.
man,
But
maybe.
it was close. I mean, both of them weren't flopping, but they
Yeah,
weren't really giving me a ton of humor.
exactly.
The
Yeah,
funniest part is, we'll talk about that later. It involves eggs.
yes. I mean, we can about it. We can talk about it. We
Okay.
can go into it because
Yeah, well, they had the part later in the game where they had to crack eggs on each other's heads and try to find the hard-boiled egg. But we quickly learned that Bestia could not crack eggs on Vanya's head because I guess the wig was cushioning the egg. So at first I thought, oh, she's got the hard-boiled egg, but
me too.
then they were like, oh, it's not working on her wig.
It was just you just kept hitting her with this egg, and it was not cracking because the wig was like, nope, not even. That was had me fouling. I was screaming. I was laughing at that so hard.
I was like, hit her somewhere else. Stop hitting her on the
right,
head.
or take the egg and just crack it and pour it on her head. Like it was hilarious.
I think that's what one of the extra people did eventually.
He did. I saw that was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the eggs here for them was funny too because
It was.
They just kept cracking the eggs because we later found out there was no hard-boiled egg in the group. It was all
I had a feeling.
Yeah, they said that it was no hard-boiled eggs. It was all eggs. And so our next is Kelly Rola and
Hornella.
Hornella. Why don't I just had a mind for it.
Hornella Gongora. Yep. They were. And first of all, before we get too far, I want to say that this might be the best that Hornella's ever looked in the face. Her face looks so good in this challenge. So maybe it's because she was an influencer, but I don't know. Whatever she was doing in this, she needs to keep doing.
Yeah, she looked good. She looked really good. And I thought their characters looked good. And they did good.
Yeah.
I wanted more, though. I wanted them to do more. Because I'm like, you're influencers. Where's your cell phones? Why aren't you taking selfies in the middle of the challenge? Like,
right.
Like, give me influencer. And give me, like, hey, hold on. Hey, guys, we're here at, or whatever. We're here for this game, 1, 2, 3 drag, and you can check me out and follow me on Instagram. Like, give me influencer.
True.
They just was like, oh, we're pretty influencers and we're here. I wanted more from the character, but I don't think they did horrible.
No, they didn't do horrible. I think they were kind of in the middle of the two teams in that they were focusing on the game, but they also did give us a little bit of improv. So I think they had a decent balance. I do think that Hornella was the standout. Kelly faded a little bit for me in this challenge. But Kelly also looked pretty good. Like, this doesn't even look like her here.
Yeah.
If you showed me this picture like a week ago and said, who is this? I would have had no clue.
Same. And their egg challenge, I think they did really funny. Theirs was funny. Their eggs was funny because they were just talking back and forth and just like dissing each other and calling each other names. Just hitting with eggs. And these looked like they was hitting each other hard with those eggs.
They did. Like, oh, and they were covered.
It was funny though. I thought they were hilarious in that moment. And yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Thought it was good.
I agree.
Oh wait, that goes. Oh, so we're gonna go right into.
Let's do it. We talked about the challenge, so let's go to that main
honestly, stage. What happens in the next day in the workroom? Because they didn't say who won or anything for the challenge, so that was fine. But once in the workroom, it was just a lot of talking, a lot of emotional moments. A lot of people were sad.
And thank you for reminding me, because I messaged Lana and Logan a few days ago, and I said, we have to talk about Bestiah's sister.
Yes, we did.
Yep. So that was kind of the emotional workroom talk of the week. And it was positive. It wasn't a sad story at all. But Bestiah talked about her sister who has Down syndrome. And she talked about how everything that has come up in Bestiah's life where she might see judgment from people, she never got that from her sister. Her sister was always the first to accept and show love and it was so pure as she was talking about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
she even said that at one point, her sister had a boyfriend, and then next thing you know, her sister has a girlfriend,
Oh,
and then she leaves her and has a boyfriend again. So it's like, good for your sister,
good.
showing her bi-colors. But yeah, I just really like that celebration of, I don't know, the pureness of what Bestia's sister was. Even if
Yes.
people might see that as a complete disability, I
Mm-hmm.
think I think some people that you might be quick to judge, hopefully nobody nobody that's watching this, but a lot of society is quick to judge or have pity on
Mm-hmm.
somebody who has a disability like that. But honestly, they might be the best of us sometimes. So,
For sure. I will say, I have known a couple of people with Down syndrome, and they are always the most sweetest people, the most
mhm,
kindest people, the most loving and like accepting people you want to ever meet. And it's so sad that people take pity on them, like, sure, they don't have they it's a disability, but they work with what they have and they make it work for them, and they are such amazing people. You want to get to know them. You want to just sit down and listen to their side, how they view the world, because the world views that we have are so different, because we're so jaded with a lot of stuff that they don't
mhm,
even care about. And I wish we could think like that sometimes. Like, you know what? It's all right. I'm
yep,
not worried about that. But yeah,
I
I
agree.
love that. I love that for
It,
Bestia and for her sister, and the acceptance that she felt from her.
I agree. It really goes to show you that judgment and prejudice, it's learned. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something intrinsically in people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we can all learn a little bit from Bestia's sister.
Agreed. Agreed. But let's jump into the runway,
Ooh,
because this runway was illusions. It was
which
illusion.
I don't completely understand how that works with this, but it almost
Yeah.
seemed like some illuminating things.
All right. It looked like it. Some people gave illumination, and some people gave the illusion of things,
Right.
which we'll talk about, because I, I have some
Truth.
thoughts. I have
I
some
thought it
thoughts.
was a good runway. We'll get
I
into
thought it was a good runway too.
it.
I thought it was a really good runway, but I
Mhm.
have some thoughts about the judges' critiques on some of it.
Okay, fair.
All right. So the first look was Paquita. That's Paquita.
Petita.
Petita.
Yes.
Okay, I can't. My eye is blurring up right now, so I'm gonna go big screen right now. That is Petita. This is her look. She came out, and her illusion was lasers. Like, they turned the lights out, and lasers was all over her bodice of her bodysuit, and they were shooting everywhere.
Hmm.
I like this look, but I have to be honest. This was not my favorite from Petita. This is not my favorite, best look from Pitita, but I
Yeah,
like the look.
I agree. We've seen better from her. I
Mm-hmm.
do think she was telling a story that I may not have gotten because she comes out with this kind of robe around
Robe.
her,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then she reveals this kind of leopard print swimsuit underneath. And at first, I'm like, Why are you doing that? Like, that's not an improvement." But I really do think that there's some sort of context that I must be missing. Maybe
Right.
she's referencing some sort of character. I don't know. But I did like the lasers. I thought that was a nice touch. It's not the easiest thing to pull off on the main stage because you've got those bright lights. So I was glad they did dim the lights so you could actually see them and see
Mm-hmm.
how far they shot off. So
Exactly. And if you're watching and you know the reference, please put it in the comments below, because we just don't know. And if we don't know, we don't know. And if you know what the reference is, please let us know so we'll be more informed. But yeah, I
exactly.
thought the lasers was good. I'm loving that they turned out the lights for the queens who had illuminations and things like that. But I thought the thing was illusions, and I
Mhm.
wanted to know what this illusion was supposed to be. I didn't know. I didn't know what the illusion was, but Okay. But the lasers were nice. It
True.
was fine. It
And
was
she
fine.
looks pretty.
And she looks pretty. Her wig is nice.
Yeah, that's a very interesting wig. We don't get wigs like that very often.
Oh, yeah. It looks okay.
Yeah.
Scores, David?
I am going to give her a 72.
I was going to give her 70.
Okay.
I think that's yeah.
That's
Like I
very
said,
fair.
not the best, but not horrible.
Right.
All right.
Not the Bestiah.
The next look is Vania. She was a bride.
Is that Vania or is that
Wait.
Ornella?
Is that
Okay.
Vania? No, that's Bestiah.
Oh, that's Ornella.
No, Hornella.
Okay.
Wait. Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure that's Hornella. Yep.
That is Hornella. Okay. Because I saw these looks. I know who's who. Oh, Jesus. It's been a long day, people. I am so sorry. But this is Hornella. She's a bride who never gets married. And she's very upset and hurt. And so this is the first look. She comes out looking like this. And she throws her bouquet. And then all of a sudden she grabs this knife and stabs it in her chest and pulls out her heart. And there's blood everywhere. So that's the transformation of this look. Mm-hmm. And I guess the illusion is her killing herself and taking out her heart.
Yeah, it was an interesting story. Looks wise, like the dress was fine. When she took it off, it was still fine. But I think it was really about the story she told and the emotion behind it. I'm not sure what's inspired this, but it felt like it came from a pretty sincere place. But yeah, it kind of gave me flashbacks to Yellow Jackets, if anybody watches that.
I found it to be an interesting story, a little gory, a little creepy, stabbing yourself, pulling out your heart. I mean, that's a great illusion because, she would be dead if she did that for real. So, but as far as the look, she looks okay. The dress is okay. It's nothing spectacular. It's not like the best wedding dress. It's just a good white-ish dress. It's okay.
And it's burnt a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, because she's a burned bride. She's been burned several times by people who don't want to marry her.
Right.
So.
Well, I'm kind of balancing it here between the story and the look. So one's more positive, one's a little bit lower. I'm going to balance it and give her a 75.
I would also share your 75. Honestly, I think that's about as fair as you can get with this one. All right. I'll get the dryer stopped. Kelly Durla. She is a cloud. She's on a cloud.
Yeah, she's like Zeus, kind of.
Zeus, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't find this to be horrible. Like the judges was like very disappointed with this look. And I was like, I don't think it's that bad. I actually kind of liked it. I love the fact that she gave us the toga at the top and then was on her skate still, but was a lightning cloud underneath her and was rolling out like she was floating on the air. I kind of like that illusion. I thought it was an illusion, which is what the challenge called for.
Yeah, I agree. I was wondering where you would be on this because I was a little confused when they started hating on it. Was it the best thing we saw? No. Were there some flaws to it? Sure.
Maybe the fabric was a little rusty.
Yeah.
It could have been.
But that's kind of how togas are, right?
Right.
Togas aren't like super form-fitting or like extravagant.
I think it's because it's so wrinkly and things. Like if you would have had like a cotton toga, it wouldn't have been so wrinkly, I guess. Because that looks like silkish, like a silky polyester type fabric. I don't know.
But this is also the best I've ever liked her on the skates. It was a really good effect having her roll in. And at first I was like, how is she moving like that? Because dumb me, I didn't even think, oh, this is Kelly Roller. But then when they zoomed out, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's happening. But I was like, she's just like gliding across this stage like a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Um, her makeup was really good too.
It was. I thought she looked fabulous. I liked this outfit. I thought it fit the theme. I thought it fit the theme of being an illusion
Mhm.
and the illusion of her on a cloud gliding across the sky with lightning underneath her.
Yeah.
She was Zeus.
The only thing I'll say is that we have seen a couple of times on different franchises people do similar things with clouds and lighting effects. Um, I think we saw, I can't remember who, but I'm pretty sure we saw that on All Star 7 last year. So we have seen it done better, but it still is pretty new as far as a runway concept goes. And I do think she did fairly well. I do think this was easily her best week on the runway.
Agreed. Agreed. I didn't think it was nothing wrong with it. Too bad with
Yeah.
this one. So scores.
I'm going to give her an 82.
I would give her 85, actually. I thought it was a decent look. I think it was one of her better looks, if you
Mhm.
ask me. But that's, again, these judges and me don't agree
I
all
think
the
they have
time.
agendas, to be honest. And I think this season, more than ever with España, it's
Yes.
very clear what their agendas are.
Hmm. So next we have Bestia.
Ooh.
Oh, wee. When I saw this walk down the runway, I was like, best of the night. I don't know who's coming behind you, who's coming in front of you. Best of the night. This illusion of ripping off your own skin and other arms and people
Hmm.
ripping off your skin. Amazing. This is an illusion. This is what the competition asked for. This is the theme. I love this look. I absolutely love this look.
Yeah, no, this was great. Like it was so smart and so bestia, really. Um, and honestly, this just makes me think she should be on Dragula. She's much
I
more
agree.
built for Dragula than Drag Race.
I feel like she can do Dracula. I feel like she can do. I I would love to see a Bestia on the versus the world
Oh yeah.
because I feel like her drag is something that other people just need to see. Her
Hmm.
drag is very up there with some of the best in the world, and that right there, that was fun. That's phenomenal. And she's done I have not seen Bessie have a really bad runway. It's always something interesting. It's always something you like, huh, huh. Even if you don't get it, you're
Hmm.
intrigued. I like that.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I think if there, I don't know, is this a spoiler for us to talk about how the episode ends?
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
is. So
yeah. We don't
I
want to go
won't get
there.
into it yet, but uh, this is an all timer for me. Very,
Yeah,
very good.
yeah, yeah. This is really good. Scores, David.
Let me give this, I'm going to give this a 99.
You might as well just say it's full because baby, mine is full. It's
Yes.
overflowing full. This is so good. So good. Even the mask on her face is so
Hmm.
dang good.
Kind of creepy.
I love this look. I love this look. Nothing bad to say about this look.
No, so great. She's so smart.
She's super smart. Ugh,
I'm glad we got to see this from her too.
yes. Clover Bish. She is an astronaut. She is giving the illusion of gravity, which I'm like, this is what the theme called for. An illusion. She is an astronaut floating on air, and I liked it too.
Yeah.
I like this too.
I agree. I thought it was an adorable concept. She made it really cutesy with the pigtails. Like, I could see this being like a character on a kid's show.
Mm-hmm.
Just, it was so clever. And this we have not seen on Drag Race, at least not that I can remember anything like this. So props to her.
Props, props. I love this look. I was just like, okay, Clover. It get the theme as an illusion. She gave us an illusion, like that was her floating in air when we obviously could see her walking. It's just
Yep.
like it's crazy. I enjoyed this very much.
And she did some lighting effects too, right? At the
Yeah,
bottom?
a little
Okay.
bit, a little bit.
I thought so. And usually I don't like having like writing, especially somebody's name on something, but I thought it worked with this having Clover Bish on the rocket.
Yeah, because it's her rocket, and even in all rockets they have their name, the rocket, the name of the rocket on the
Oh, good
Apollo
point. Hmm.
13 and all of those is on there. So for her to have her name as the rocket thing or the backpack, I thought that was perfectly
Hmm.
fine. I
And her face
enjoyed it.
looks really good too.
Yeah, I thought it was cute. And agree.
Hmm.
I didn't. Well, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, I like this. Scores, David.
Let me give her an 87.
I'll give her a 93. I
Okay.
thought this was good. I thought it was good. All right. Next, Vanya. Vanya came out with all these words that were said to her and making, all the things that was put on her by society, by other people, and was taking her power back with this look.
Hmm. Yeah, and I wish I was better at Spanish.
Yeah.
I know like un poquito Spanish. So I do recognize it says Mericon on there, which is basically similar to the F slur
Okay.
over here. Um, but yeah, I really like the concept here.
Mm-hmm.
And I like how it started out. Um, there was a point where she lost the mask and the wig, and then we saw just a more basic looking Vanya,
Mm-hmm.
still with some of this garment on, and then she did the kind of black light effect.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought there were things that worked, but I wanted to be a little more blown away by
Right.
how she actually looked.
Right. I felt like the illusion wasn't there. I guess it was graffiti. It was supposed to be graffiti wall, and that was the dress. But like, what's the illusion supposed to be? Is it the black light? Was that the illusion? It's just like I
I think
needed a
that was it.
little. I think it was. I needed a little bit more of an illusion instead of just a black light and glow in the dark. But
Yep.
the concept I enjoyed, even when the mask came off and it was just simply Vanya, which is like that's who she is.
Hmm.
Not all of these words, not all of this stuff, simply Vanya. And I enjoyed that. And even if that wasn't what she was going for, that's why I took from it that she was just saying, now all of this stuff that y'all put on me, I'm taking that off and I'm just me.
True.
And I like that concept. I just wanted more of the illusion,
Yep.
but
I agree.
it's not horrible. Just needed a more.
Yep. And I want to give her props for being vulnerable because
Yes.
that takes a lot,
Mm-hmm.
especially on such a big platform in front of
Mm-hmm.
who knows how many people are watching this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell she's kind of had an emotional struggle throughout this
Mm-hmm.
competition. So for her, especially to be so vulnerable, I really respect that from her.
Same. Same. Looks good. But scores, David?
Um, I still, for the most part, like this, so I'm gonna give it a 77.
I will give it a 75 because I like it. I just wanted more.
Hmm.
Not horrible. Just wanted more. And that's it. Dang. That's it.
Yep, that's it. And
Wow.
we gave pretty good scores across the board. I think nobody got below a 70 for us.
Yeah, I feel like we people it was a good runway.
Hmm.
That's the thing. It was a good runway, and it was nobody was horrible.
Right.
And I feel like the same thing about the challenge. Nobody was horrible. It was just some needed a little bit more.
Hmm.
Some need to give a little bit more.
Yep. And can you believe it? Petita had our lowest scores for the night for the runway, but not by much.
Not by much,
We
but
still liked it.
we still love her.
Hmm. Very much
And
so.
and the judging. Okay, so let's talk about the judging
Okay.
because before I get into usually we just go right on to who won, but I want to talk about this judging because I didn't agree with some of the comments that were made to certain people. Like for Clover, they were like they didn't they liked the concept of her look, but they felt like the pigtails were not. They made it costumey instead of, and I was like,
Yeah. Well, I thought they, I thought they said that, but my roommate, because I started complaining about that, and he's like, "No, they were saying that they liked the pigtails because it made it camp." And I'm like, "Is that what they said?"
no,
So,
because to me it sounded like they said that the costume was camp, but the
mhm.
pigtails took it out of camp into costume.
Yeah. Well, I disagree. I thought the pigtails were a perfect touch for it. It almost like it gave me like a rival for Dora the Explorer. We got Clover the Explorer in space.
Right. Clover the astronaut and Dora
Exactly.
the Explorer. I mean, but I feel like the pigtails could have been also double for you know how when astronauts have their things on and the tubes are running from their pack of
Hmm.
their back gravity pack or whatever that's on their backs and their things so they can hear. It's like it could be the tube,
Oh
like a
yeah.
but whatever. I didn't think it was that bad, and they kind of was just like she went too costumey with this,
Hmm.
and I was like, I don't think so. I don't agree with that, but okay, sure. And then they were saying how um uh, who was it was
Kelly.
Kelly. Her costume was they didn't like her costume.
Hmm.
Like from the neck up, she was great, but from the neck down, it was a mess. And I was like,
Yeah. I did not see what they saw.
what? I didn't agree with that.
Yeah. And then it seemed like they gave other people kind of passes on what they did on the runway. So, really, I think this episode just proves runway doesn't matter in their judging. Like,
It's mm,
what's the
no,
point?
it really doesn't because if that was the case, then I don't know if the winner should have been the winner if the runway actually mattered.
And we would have a different bottom too.
And we would have a different bottom altogether. But the winner of this challenge and the winner of this week was Pitita.
Yay. I'm very happy for
I'm
Petita.
happy. I'm still happy because I love Pitita. Do I wish Clover could have had a win? Sure. Yes. I definitely think that.
Hmm.
But it feels like they were going more on the challenge. And in
Fair.
that's the case, Petita deserved to win for the
She did.
challenge
I do
because
think
she
she was the
killed the
best in
challenge.
the challenge.
She was the best in the challenge. I agree with that. You can't take it away. I think her and Clover played off of each other very well,
Hmm.
and both of them did super well. But if they're just going off of the challenge, then Petita should have won that, and
Yep.
I am happy for that.
But
But
I do
Clover
think
was
if you
go ahead.
factored in runway, like gave that half the score, it
Mm-hmm.
might be Clover for me.
If we factor in the runway, I think it probably would be Clover for me.
Hmm.
But I don't think they did that. But it is what it is. And Clover was also safe. So Petita
Yep.
wins. Clover's safe. I'm happy because Clover is staying for another
True.
day.
True.
And
And some people didn't think that she would stay this week,
and some
Logan.
people was even wanting them to go so they don't have to be through that. I'm
I
like,
know.
I don't agree with that. I kind of
I
want them to
don't
stay and
either.
stick it out and
And I
go
feel
as
like she
far.
has good momentum. Like she's
I
been
do.
in the top twice. It should have been 3 times in a row that she was in the top, but they definitely screwed her over a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um, but Yeah, I like her momentum, and I'm really rooting for her to get to that finale.
Me too.
We're so close. Just a
We're so
few more
close.
episodes,
We're
and we'll be
so
there.
so close. But Pitita wins, and our bottom two this week. And this is where I got confused, because if we're basing this just on the challenge, what they did with Pitita, then the bottom two should have been Bestia and Vania, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I will say at least they got the top three, because I feel like Ornella was also, she was safe. She was
Yeah,
in the
she was.
top three spot. Did they get the
Yes,
top three right? Yes. Did they get the bottom three right? Yes.
yes,
Did they get
yes.
the bottom two right? No.
No, I don't think so. Because if we're judging straight off of that challenge, it should have been Bestia and Vanya. And I think even Vanya, even when they asked the question, because they asked them, who do you think
Oh
should
yeah.
be in the bottom or who should leave? They say drop out. I was like, oh, drop out.
Yeah,
But
I thought that was interesting how they worded
I
that
was like,
question.
you worded it like how? Who should drop out? Oh my. Um,
maybe that's why Vanya was so quick to volunteer. She's like, "Oh, drop out? I have to actually quit?" Okay.
I was like, oh my. But Vanya even said that she should be in the
She
one.
did. I'm trying to
And
remember who everybody else said.
Clover also said Vanya and Bestia.
And
Bestia said Kelly. No,
okay.
Ornella said Kelly. Ornella
Yes,
said
Ornelas,
Kelly.
and I think Petita said Vanya.
Yeah.
Or no, did she say Kelly? Yeah, Petita said Kelly, I think.
I think Petita did say Kelly. I think
Mhm. It was
uh
just Clover that said Vanya.
yeah. 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 But yeah, so that was interesting to me, that was the question and that was the responses. But the bottom two ended up being Bestia and Kelly Roller.
Yep.
For the reason being, even though Bestia had the best look on the runway, they felt she fell flat in the competition. But then for Kelly, they were like, you had the best, one of the best versions in the competition, but you fell flat on the runway. And I'm like, then why is Petita the winner of the runway, of this challenge, of the whole thing, if it's about the challenge and the runway? Because if that's the case, Clover should have won, because she was great in the challenge. Your words, judges. She was amazing in the challenge, and she had a really good runway.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we should get to the actual tea here. So
Okay.
we see Kelly is the first one named to be in the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, it's Bestia. And that's when Vanya, you can tell she feels very guilty. She is saying, no, it should
No.
be me. It should
Yes.
be me. I brought her down, which
Mm-hmm.
I kind of agree with. I thought she was the
Mm-hmm.
weaker, slightly, in the
Mm-hmm.
challenge. And I'm just like guffaw, because they are not listening to her. If she's asking to be in the bottom two, put her ass in the bottom two. If she feels like she deserves it, then who are you to say she does not? She
Or
should
make
have
it a
been in the
bottom
bottom two.
three, and then you
Yeah.
figure out.
But here's the reason why that did not happen. I have heard the word on the street is that Supreme is friends with a few of these people. She's good friends from what I've heard, and people, if I'm completely off base, let me know in the comments. But I've heard she's very good friends with Kelly Roller,
Mm-hmm.
whom was brought back into the competition,
Mm-hmm.
and she's good friends with Vanya. So I think Supreme was crapping her pants at the thought of her two friends being in the bottom two, when we know, I should say, I feel in my soul, Kelly Roller was put in the bottom two only to send Bestia home. That's why she was there. Bestia was the sacrificial lamb in this whole equation here. And it doesn't sit well with me, especially seeing what Bestia was wearing, like, n- that's a get out of jail free card for me. Like, she looked way too good to be in the bottom too. So I don't know. Thoughts?
And we and after we saw the lip sync, I still don't think Bestia should have went because I believe what I believe. I do believe Kelly is friends with Supreme, and I could see Vanya being friends with Supreme, and that is why they literally just ignored Vanya saying no, no, it should be me, no. And they were like, we made our decision, you have to stick with it. Like what? No, she is asking to be in the bottom.
Hmm.
Put her in the bottom.
Right.
Like I said, even if you make it a bottom three, and they all have to lip sync for their life, then so be it. But when somebody is saying it should have been them, why aren't we listening to that? Because
Right.
I am 100% sure if Clover was the one that said that, saying no, no, it should have been me, they'd put her in the bottom. They're like,
Right.
okay, yeah, it should be you. If it was Pitita saying no, no, it should have been me, they'd be like, yeah, yeah, you should be in the bottom.
Hmm.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
But
It's like, okay, so Vanya may be your friend, Sabram. Why are you holding your friend hostage in this competition? If she's ready to go, she named herself to go home. If she's ready to go, she's shown it consistently that her frame of mind is not in the place where it needs to be. Sure, she could probably just quit. I don't want to see that when she could just as easily be put in a position she deserves in the bottom
mm-hmm,
two
mm-hmm,
and go home a natural way.
yep,
So it's very infuriating watching this season and just seeing how unfair it's become.
it's been weird. It's been weird, but it's Bestia and it's Kelly. They're lip syncing. Do you remember the song? I can't. Lenu-
Yeah,
Lenista.
I looked it up. It's not a song I was familiar with, but it's it is called La Nina
La
by
Nina.
Maria Palea. Palea.
Yeah,
Don't know the song, but it was decent, and
it was a
I thought
decent song.
I
Yeah,
thought it was a pretty good lip sync. And we might disagree on this, but I was watching and I'm like, I think Kelly's doing slightly better. I thought Bestia really held her own, but I really was impressed with Kelly in this one.
and I think we are disagreeing because I actually thought Bestia did way better
Hmm.
than Kelly. I thought I, I thought she did better. I'll say that. I
That's
thought
fair.
she did better. It was I simply thought Bestia did better. I thought Kelly changing into her brand new outfit was what caught the judge's attention and was like, "Oh, that's
Probably.
great. That's nice." And then they stuck with that.
Yep.
Because if they would have actually saw the actual lip sync, I thought Bestia was giving everything and was giving it and serving it.
True. But I
But
did also notice, and this was what was really frustrating me too, is every time it would cut to the judges, those two bozos at the end,
ugh,
their eyes were glued on Kelly. I'm like, at
yep,
least look at Bestia. At
at
least
least
watch
act like
her.
you looking. At
It's
least,
like,
oh,
I think their mind was made up no matter what.
yep,
So
I agree.
it's like, and honestly, if we're being honest, the two that you all are fighting to protect, Vanya and Kelly Roller, they are the weakest ones left.
Yep,
They're just kind of drawing dead at this point.
yep, yeah, I agree.
I mean, sure, they're the only two people technically besides Petita that have a win. They each
Hmm.
got one win. Now that, well,
But
we'll
yeah,
get into that now that somebody else left.
but yeah, and we'll talk about that right now because
Okay.
after the lip sync happened, unfortunately, Bestia was eliminated, sent packing, sashay away, and Kelly Roller was safe to stay and roll around another day.
Yeah, it's very sad. I'll be honest, Bestia was probably my third favorite left. Because I do love me some Pitita and Clover, but I really like Bestia. Like even from that very first episode, she's been consistently strong. Um, she did lose a little bit of steam, but still, like those runways though. Come
Runway was the best.
on.
Like I can't process Bestia going home right now with the look she just gave out on that runway. Like I can't process how that even happens because she shouldn't have been a bottom two for me. I just don't think she should have been in the bottom two
No.
because her runway should have cleared it. Like any wrongdoing she did in that challenge, that runway wiped it out. Like in my opinion, that
Yeah.
runway was perfection, and it was on brand with the theme. Everything about it was perfection. It should have wiped away all of her sins in the challenge. I just believe that. And I even if you would have put Bestia and Vanya in the bottom two, okay, sure, great. Okay, all right. But Bestia leaving with that runway just seems wrong. It
It
just
is.
seems
It is wrong.
wrong. It seems wrong in so many ways to me.
Yep.
I was not happy with it. I watched it. I was sitting there like, huh. I just don't feel like this is right, and they need to rewind it and think about it and do it again because that just wasn't right. It didn't seem right to me.
I agree. And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier, that Bestia leaving in this look, honestly, that's a Hall of Fame, Mount Rushmore look for a queen who left on an amazing look. Like if we looked at all of the looks that every queen wore the week they were eliminated, that's got to be a top 5 for sure.
It just seems weird and wrong.
Mhm.
But then that was that.
That was that. So I will say España has always been one of my favorite of the international franchises.
Mhm.
There's a lot to like about this season, but there's probably almost as much to dislike about this season. And I know anybody who's coming to watch this regularly, they're probably like, why are they always ranting every episode? Hopefully you get it. Hopefully you get it at this point. I'm sure you are probably frustrated too. Lana and I both are. I know Logan is.
Yes.
So I don't know. I hope they
just
do better.
I do hope they do better. I can't wait till our next recording of España because Logan will be back and Logan has thoughts about this episode. So be ready to our listeners to see what Logan has to say at the beginning of of the next episode about this episode because this was just weird. This was just weird. It just didn't feel cohesive. Like it was something very off about this episode to me. But that's what it is. It is what it is at this point. Um, we will be back next week to talk more España. You know what to do. You at the YouTube things. You know how to do it. Hit like, share, subscribe, share, subscribe,
And leave comments. I love
leave
reading comments.
all the comments. We love that.
We will interact with you.
We definitely interact. We definitely come back and tell you how we feel about what you have to say. If you like our opinion or if you don't like our opinion, we want to hear what you have to say. And anything that we messed up on, tell us, correct us. We know how to take correction. That's fine.
True.
Follow us on Twitter at The Cup Pod so you will know when all of our videos are going to drop and you won't be missed out. Follow us on Twitter, myself and David, if you just want to follow us just because you might want to. Sure, we love that.
Do it.
And yeah, we love that. And get all of your cup merch, the cup. We have socks, we have cups, we have hats. We have more stuff coming. And yeah, Follow at lanagcreations.etsy.com. The description will be below. For those Spotify listeners, the description is below. And yeah, that's it.
That
Cheers,
is
David.
it. Cheers.
Cheers and
Oops,
cheers.
I need my cup. I need my cup now that I have it.
That's right.
There
Cheers.
we go.
Cheers and cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Adios.
Adios.